Go ahead and get started, folks. Listen, thank you so much for joining me today. We have folks here from all over the country. Evidently, there's some interest in wanting to find out more about what's going on with the pre-foreclosure market. Are there opportunities out there? My wife has been giving me grief for a long time saying, I want you to do this class standing up sometime because you're always got your face right there and you're scaring people. So I go, okay, thank you. That's good to know. So first time I'm doing it standing up and from a distance. So for those of you that don't know me, that's me. Does that even look like me at all? I tried to get ChatGPT to go ahead and come close. I think the only part that got close was the designations and the fact that I'm bald. Everything else is way off. But I'm your host with the most today, Tony Martinez. Let's go ahead and give you a little bit of background in the event that you were not familiar with who I am and what I do. But I've been doing this a long time, folks. I think I've been in the game now over 30 years as a real estate agent, broker, coach, you name it. My passion is teaching. I just love an opportunity to get in front of any size audience and go ahead and try to impact some lives, try to help people get to another level in their development in their careers. It's not always easy, but you just got to keep going. So it's been a pleasure for me to be on this road now for quite a few years. The CDPE is my baby. I know that on the call right now, we have folks that are CDPEs right now. Some of you are even what we call OGs. The OGs are folks that were CDPs way back, maybe as far back as 2008. Amelia is one of them. These are the folks that were in the thick of things. If you didn't have your license back in 2008, then you don't know what we went through in terms of an industry. But no one had any clue what short sales were all about. And the CDP came into the scene and it was just amazing. For those of you that don't know, I also acquired a few months ago the military residential specialist certification. This is another thing that I'm super passionate about. It just bothers me to no end that only about 13-14% of military veterans ever use the VA loan program. And all too often, it's just because the real estate agents themselves aren't familiar with it. So that is a new certification. It's not new. It's been around for many, many years, but I bought it, I revamped it, I revised it, and now that's available as well. More on that later. During the financial crisis is when the CDPE was born. I joined them toward the end of 2008, taught my first class in 2009. Oh my God, that's a long time ago. And then from there, I must have done pretty good because they named me their lead instructor. Then I became their instructor of instructors. I had the pleasure of working with some amazing folks, and together, I think we made a huge difference because the CDPE was responsible for well over 1 million foreclosures being avoided and for the recovery to be accelerated. Anybody that was part of the movement back then, my hat is off to you because you know what? We definitely made a difference. And now the CDPE is back. That's right. It went away in 2020. Hard to believe, but it went away in 2020. I acquired it in 2021. Can't believe we're going on almost 5 years now. And we have been fighting an uphill battle ever since, trying to convince folks that foreclosures never went away and that there are folks out there that need help. And that's where you come in because you are the troops. You're the ones that are out there in the field. My job today is to try to motivate you by exposing or introducing you to an opportunity that you may not have known existed. Or let's face it, I have CDPs right now, I hate to say it, that are CDPs in name only. You know the saying, you can spend all day in a garage and it doesn't make you a Chevy. You could have the initials after your last name. And if you're not doing anything with it, what good is it, right? And I don't know what's holding you back. I don't know, life gets in the way. Maybe you feel a little bit unsure. Maybe you don't feel confident or competent. But we need to change that because the need is becoming greater and greater every single day. So first, I have to sell you on the concept that this is an amazing opportunity for you to increase your business. And then, more than anything, get you out there. You know, it's one thing to say, man, okay, I see it, but no, I have to motivate you to go out there and start talking to people. That's right. You actually physically have to start talking to people. Not just sitting in a classroom in a safe environment. We have to engage. But here's the thing. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And way too many agents will take a short sale listing, a pre-foreclosure listing, have no idea what they're talking about, and they end up making a huge mess of things. Listen, I'm going to pour my heart out to you for an hour plus, And in exchange, I ask that at the last 5 minutes, I give you an opportunity to share with you how you can become a CDPE. And for sticking with me that long, if you're not a CDPE right now, you're going to get amazing pricing to become a CDPE. And if you're a CDPE now, maybe you need a refresher. Maybe you've been out of it too long and you need to go ahead and get back into the thick of things. So we're going to offer you a special opportunity to get back into the swing of things by taking the course over again. How many of you would agree that real estate has not been easy over the past 2 years? Can I get a thumbs up for those of you that are out there? Has not been easy. And you know what? I'm going to present some very negative information today. My wife, God bless her, she's never holds back. She says, Tony, you know what? You should start the class with so much negativity. I go, I'm sorry, I'm not selling rainbows or balloons at the park. We're talking about a very serious situation that's happening right now in people's lives. I don't know how to phrase it any other way. If there's a positive aspect to this, is that if you engage, you can make a huge difference in someone's life. But it is absolutely difficult right now for real estate agents. It's been a horrific 2 years. Now, as I say that, there are some agents out there that are having the best production ever. But for the most part, this is a typical real estate agent perspective right now in the industry. They are not having a good time. And I get it. But what I'm trying to do is basically present a niche opportunity. I'm trying to go ahead and make some sense of the chaos that's out there. Look, we've had difficult production years. And on top of all that, August 17, 2024, NAR comes on the scene and says, all right, folks, forget about how you've been doing this all these years. But now on, you have to do this when it comes to buyer compensation. What happened? Tons of agents just ran out the door as quickly as possible. So you have all of these difficulties. And then what happens is agents will gather around the water cooler, assuming maybe it's a virtual water cooler. And next thing you know, they're just in tears. You just don't even want to go on. I'm the kind of person where when there's chaos, I see opportunity. And this is definitely an opportunity if you have a heart to serve. I don't care that the market is shifting and we're becoming more and more of a buyer's market. I get it. I have been very active in training my team. I have a team of 120 agents. I've been very active in teaching them how to engage in the buyer presentation side. But at the end of the day, folks, listings, you list to last. Listings are still the name of the game. One of the things that I always say, listen, when you're a listing agent, you're not worried about getting paid. Okay. The other side may be worried about getting paid. You're not. When you're the listing agent, you have the opportunity to get both sides of the equation. You don't do that when you're only representing the buyer. So I truly believe that now is a fantastic time to take more listings. But here is the problem. The problem is how the industry is presenting it. I have a question for you all. How many of you would like to go ahead and perform certain real estate prospecting and marketing tasks that can maybe get you a listing in 6 or 8 months? How many of you? Let me see a show of hands. Give me a thumbs up and everything else. You guys will do that, okay? If you could do it, okay. All right. How many of you can't wait 6 months? How many of you in 6 months you're out of the business? In 6 months you can't pay your board dues. In 6 months you may not be able to pay your rent. My issue is this. Always continue to farm and prospect and do things that are going to create business down the road. But if you think you can walk up to somebody's door and say, look, I know you have a 2.5% mortgage, but I really do think it's a great time for you to go ahead and sell right now and go out there and get a 6% mortgage. Are you with me? You're going to get some pushback. You're going to get some pushback. So how about this approach? Okay, don't stop doing that because eventually they're going to have to move. Eventually they can't keep putting off this decision indefinitely. But I think it's not our job to motivate them to sell. I think our job is to identify motivated sellers. You don't get more motivated than someone that's losing their home, folks. That is where I'm going with this. You can keep beating your head against the wall. You keep doing all that stuff, or you can zero in a certain part of your day, a certain portion of your day into identifying who's on that pre-foreclosure list and going after them and engaging them. This is where I'm coming from. The other thing that I've really been trying to champion for now, I would say at least 2.5, 3 years, is the need for specialization in our industry. We are an industry of general practitioners, right? We try to be all things to all people. Look, if you ever gone to a doctor, general practitioner, chances are you may have needed to be referred to a specialist. Who do you think makes more money between the general practitioner and the specialist? We need more specialists in our industry. That's when you pick certain niches and you say, I'm going to immerse myself in this arena and I'm going to become the expert. I'm going to brand myself as such, and I'm going to promote this to anybody and everybody that's willing to listen. Well, there's different niches out there. You know what? Probate is one of them. Luxury is another one. Working with seniors is another one. Today, I want to talk about pre-foreclosures and the amazing opportunities that exist there. The other day, I was interviewed by Redex. It's a great podcast. It's on our YouTube channel. You guys could check it out. And at the very beginning, the gal asked me, well, how would you like me to classify this segment that you do? Should we classify it as distressed properties? And I say, no, please don't. She goes, why? Because within the distressed properties umbrella are REOs. And REOs is once the foreclosure has been completed and the bank has taken the property back, the property is going to be put on the market by some REO agent that's probably had a long-standing relationship with that servicer. That's not what I'm into. You know why? By that time, it's too late to help that homeowner. They've lost the home. I am in the pre-foreclosure space. Now, if you want to become an REO agent, God bless you. There may be some of you on the call right now, and they say, how do I become an REO agent? Well, get in line. Get in that very long line and hope someday that they'll give you a deal, because obviously they have people that want that. You have the opportunity, because there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of pre-foreclosures in your market right now. You have the opportunity to get in front of all of them. You don't need anybody's permission. Those homeowners, while they're still on title, can hire anyone that they choose. The more people you talk to, obviously the odds of you increasing your production are going to go up exponentially. Pre-foreclosures are the low-hanging fruit. Why? Because maybe you're newer. This is a segment you weren't really introduced to. Maybe you had a bad experience and that's weighing you down. Maybe you were at that water cooler and somebody was talking about a short sale and it had all these horror stories and it kind of turned you off. Well, here's the thing. Do you know that not all pre-foreclosures are short sales? In fact, a lot of pre-foreclosures have equity. More on that later. But it is the low-hanging fruit. Here you are battling against very experienced agents with a lot of production in their name to get a regular listing. And here they are, all these folks sitting there, and most agents are ignoring them or avoiding them like the plague. That's where the opportunity comes in. Now I got to get something off my chest, because this is the industry. This is the industry. For 5 years now, I have called associations. I have called broker owners. I've called team leaders. I've called managers, and I have had door after door after door slammed in my face, because here is the mindset of the industry. Don't give us any negative news. We can't. The narrative is everything is rosy, everything is wonderful. There's no problem here. So between the consumer having their head buried in the sand, not knowing what to do, not understanding what their rights are, right? Not understanding what the process is like. We have an entire industry where most of the leaders would prefer that their agents not do this. In fact, whenever I teach a class, I always say, hey guys, you know that you need to talk to your broker, because they may have some forms that are unique to their brokerage that they need you to use when it's a short sale. Now, when you go approach them, don't be surprised if they try to talk you out of it. And I say, why would my broker try to talk me out of it? Well, because they don't understand short sales themselves. So they're afraid you're going to come to them with some questions that they will not be able to answer. Good luck if you're in a typical brokerage and you're looking for short sale training, good luck with that. You might be waiting a while. And then again, some of the stuff that's already out there right now, I guess I have a jaded opinion, but I truly believe, and I think a lot of you are going to agree with this, there's nothing that comes close to the CDPE. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Get your pen and paper, whatever it is you write on. I'm going to share some stats with you. I can't spend a whole lot of time on this, and I'm going to point you to the right direction because I don't make these numbers up. I get them from Adam data primarily, but I want to show you what's been happening while we were maybe paying attention to something else. Maybe we were thinking about other areas, but in the meantime, here's what's been happening as far as the national foreclosure numbers. So for December of 2025, we had a 26% increase in foreclosure starts, okay? Foreclosure filings, actually filings, let me explain. Filings are not just foreclosure starts, but it's also like when they actually formally put you in the foreclosure process all the way to the point where they actually repossess the home. So that's the whole thing. So that increased by 26% over the month before and 57% from the year before. So this number started gaining attention. Now, I think this was like the 10th month in a row that foreclosures had increased. So then January comes around, and January becomes the 11th consecutive month that foreclosure activity has increased. We saw it down slightly from the month before, but up significantly from the year before. And you know what happens? The industry is spinning, spinning, spinning. And I get it. I'm going to show you where we are in relationship to how bad it was back in the day, because no one's going to walk out of this Zoom saying Tony is a doomsayer, this is the end of the world. No, I'm pragmatic. I'm very realistic about the realities of what today's consumer and homeowner is going through right now, but I am not forecasting the end of things as we know it. So let's talk about the foreclosure rates. Where are your top states, right? And I'm getting this data from Adam data. So here we are. Number one is Delaware. You know, Delaware has been number one almost every single month. And it amazes me because they must have a huge percentage because relative to their population. I mean, think about it. Aren't there like 18 people in Delaware? So they have all these foreclosures. So if you're in the Delaware market, oh my gosh, what you can do with it. Then next is Nevada. Yeah, Amelia, you're right there in the thick of things, right? You guys are right up there. You're number two. Florida, number three. South Carolina, Maryland. You see where I'm going with this? This is kind of like deja vu all over again. When you look at this and you think, man, if I took a snapshot of how it was back in the day, in 2008, 9, and 10, it would look very, very similar. So these are the states. Now, there's foreclosure action everywhere, right? It's foreclosures everywhere. But here's the thing. I probably would not become a CDPE if I lived in North or South Dakota. I probably would not become a CDPE in Wyoming, okay, or Montana. They don't have that many foreclosures. They don't have that many people. But everybody else is getting their fair share. Now, here's another stat, okay? For January, okay, these are the states that had the most starts, okay? This means that the lenders have begun the foreclosure process, okay? It doesn't mean filings, which includes the repossessions. These folks, it started for them. How much time they have? We'll take a look at that in a second. But there you go. Florida is number one. Texas, California, Georgia, New York. All right. My good friend Fred is up there in New York. He can tell you all about that. Now, something to pay attention to. As I mentioned earlier, you can be in foreclosure and you can have equity. But we're starting to see more and more properties go underwater. I don't mean physically underwater. I'm talking about they owe more with their mortgages than they can sell the property for. Number one on that list is Louisiana, followed by Mississippi, excuse me, Kentucky, Iowa, Arkansas. You see your names there. Now, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is where you're going to see a ton of short sales. We're seeing them all over, but they particularly are going to, because just because you're underwater doesn't mean that you're in foreclosure. Don't get me wrong. You can be underwater, be gainfully employed, making your payments and everything else. But when the two line up, when people that are seriously underwater or underwater period end up defaulting on their mortgage, that's when you get that perfect combination, that perfect storm for a potential short sale. This is what bothers me the most. Bothers me the most because in 2025, the banks completed over 46,000 foreclosures. That's up 27% from the year before. Now, I want to put it in this perspective. Okay. How many of these 46,000 plus homeowners, knowing that they could maybe sell that property, walk away with some equity, do a short sale, avoid all of the negative consequences that foreclosure brings? I'll talk about that a little later. How many are, knowing that there were other options, elected to say, okay, bank, take my house. Yeah, I know I could do these other things, but I would prefer that you screw me up for the rest of my life by damaging my credit and all this stuff. Please do that. No, the problem is us. We're not out there. We're not out there beating the bushes. We're not out there calling. We're not there knocking on doors. The leaves are not going to fall from trees, people. Yes, you can do marketing, you can do social media, maybe some people will reach out to you, but at the end of the day, folks, you got to get your hands dirty. Now, I was watching, I'm not going to name because I don't want to embarrass them, but I was watching a video because one of my CDPs sent me a link to a podcast, and it said, bank sees 40,000 properties in 1 month. I'm going, what? It's 1 month. Look, in January, they seized 4,700, which is up 59% from the year before. So I can't stand it when these podcasters get the information and the data wrong because it makes us all look stupid. And they were doubling down on stupid by saying, oh, yeah, because the bank seized 40,000. No, you can't compare foreclosure starts. Yes, there have been a lot of foreclosure starts with seizing. Seizing is that they took the house away. Someone needs to go ahead and check that, right? So here's where we're at, and this is an important graph for you guys to take a look at. If you were doing business in 2008, 9, and 10, you're gonna say, oh yeah, I remember. This was the level of foreclosures back in the day. We had a ton. And then you see that things started to improve. Things started to get better. It started declining. Now, do you see in any year there where foreclosures went completely away? No. Where you saw a huge drop was during COVID, when all the moratoriums were in place. And even then, there were still foreclosures. All right, you go figure. Here's where we're at. For 2025, we just passed 2024, passed. You see how we're now increasing? So this is the pattern that I'm looking at. Now, here's what I want you to take a look at. Here's where we are now, 2025. Here's what it was back in the day. Am I saying we're going to go from here to there? Probably not. Now, do I have a crystal ball? Absolutely not. Can things go wrong big time? Anything is possible. But if it ever got seriously, seriously bad, it would not be for the same reasons as it was in 2008. In 2008, it was because of subprime mortgages. This time around, it's going to be economically driven. It's going to be based on lack of jobs or job loss. But here's what I want you to also pay attention to. You see where the numbers were pre-COVID? Almost 500,000, over 600,000. Is there any reason to believe that our numbers in 2026 and beyond don't stand an amazing chance of at least being at the same level as pre-COVID? Of course they will. So we have probably double the number of foreclosures coming up, and that's being conservative. Two of the dumbest questions. Yes, I'm one of those instructors that believes that they are dumb questions. I don't say it in front of a group, but they are. And if you ever taught a class, you know where I'm coming from. So this is me at a trade show, right? I hate trade shows. I hate sitting at a trade show and I'm sitting there. Someone comes by and goes, hey, man. I go, hey, what's happening? I go, hey, man, are foreclosures back, man? I go, well, let me tell you something. They never went away. And they're like, oh, yeah. But is it going to be is it as bad as it was back in the day? I go, well, let me tell you something. For someone that's going through it, is bad enough. Why are we so fixated with, I'll pay attention when the numbers get up here? When they get way up here, I'll pay attention. No, that's not how it should be. There's people that need help right now. You need business right now. So why not combine the fact that they have a need, you have a need, and together you fill it, right? Now, say some states can take forever for a foreclosure to go through. And some states are very quick, like Texas. But can you believe Louisiana, it can take over 3,400 days. New York is way up there as well, Hawaii. And this gives people a false sense of security. If I were working in those states, I wouldn't be focusing at all on the people that recently went into foreclosure. I would be going on talking to the people that have been in the foreclosure process for over a year, 2 years, 3 years, because it's almost game over for them. So a lot of this depends on your state. You have to become familiar with your state. Something else to keep an eye on. We are seeing mortgage delinquencies increase. So what comes first before a foreclosure? They have to have default. And then they have to be in default for X amount of time. So take a look at how the numbers are starting to climb. Now, this was COVID, and there was a lot of people missing their payments for obvious reasons, and a lot of folks went into forbearance. That's another reason why they need us. But we're seeing a steady climb in this. But the one I want you to really pay attention to is FHA mortgages. FHA mortgages are a disaster in the making. When you have possibly like 1 in 8 FHA mortgages, I had a great interview with a gentleman who is amazing, and I have it on our YouTube channel. You guys have got to take a look at this. He just follows data. He's a data guy. And when I said, yeah, man, isn't it scary that 1 in 10 FHA mortgages is in default? He goes, no, it's more like 1 in 8. Now think about all the people that bought 2022 at the top of the market, right? They bought with FHA. They probably overpaid for the house and they only put 3.5% down. They're behind on their payments now. What do you think is going to happen? They're already underwater, folks. Next to keep an eye on is VA. A lot of you don't know this, but there are a lot of different games that were being played behind the scenes. There were all these modification programs that were in place to keep the FHA mortgages people there. And it was abused. There's some people that got up to 14 partial claim mortgages done on their property. They would make a payment for 2 months and then they missed, then they redo it. Those games went away in October of 2025. People now have to, toe the line. The same thing or very similar happened with VA mortgages. That protection is gone as well. You're going to see a huge increase in those two areas. I'm not predicting a big increase in the conventional side, but on the FHA and the VA side, absolutely, you're going to see a huge increase. All right, so let's take a look at some other factors. And again, I'm not trying to be the guy that say, oh my God, this guy is all this down, but you have to factor all these in, because there's people behind on their payments right now or about to become behind on their payments. We have no idea who they are. It's not public record. Until the foreclosure process formally starts, we don't know who they are. But here are some factors that are going to contribute, right? Consumer debt right now credit card debt is about $1.28 trillion of credit card debt. I think the consumer debt is in excess of $16 trillion. We're a nation of debtors. And the folks that have credit card debts, a lot of these folks are living credit card to credit card and they're paying 25% or more. That is overwhelming. Student loans, remember for the longest time, they didn't have to make these payments. They do now. And probably 50, 60 or more percent of them are already in default on the student mortgage side. Those don't just go away. And now they're responsible for these payments. Now, unemployment, I never believe the stuff I hear. You get one jobs report, next thing you know, they revise it a few weeks later and everything else. You just have to look around you. I don't look at the national unemployment rate. Look at the people you know. Look at your area. the markets you serve. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people are underemployed. That's the number you really need to keep an eye on, right? There's people that should stop looking for work. How many people are working 2 and 3 jobs just to pay their bills? So this can be a little thing, but this is what you got to watch. If unemployment continues to go up, and look, I'm constantly listening and watching for all the layoffs news. You've seen how many companies have been laying off a lot of their people. Some of it is because for them sales are slow. Others is because of AI, but a lot of people are being displaced right now. Now, payment increases. Well, most of the mortgages that are out there are fixed mortgages, so the payments aren't going up because of that. But what's happening with property taxes? Okay, Florida, insane. What's happening with insurance? All right, what's happening with HOAs? The same, this video clip I was telling you about that had all the numbers wrong. One guy says, well, he goes, well, the problem is, it's just that, it's mortgages. Because to have a foreclosure, you have to have a mortgage. If you didn't have a mortgage, you don't have a foreclosure. I go, well, here's another idiot doesn't know what he's talking about. Do you know that people are being foreclosed on because they can't pay their property taxes? Do you know that people get foreclosed on all the time by associations because they can't make the association payments? Have you seen what some of these associations charge now? It's insanity. So when you see all of these payment increases, the typical person's living paycheck to paycheck, and yet everything is going up in price. Believe it or not, adjustable rate mortgages never went away. In fact, they started making a bit of a comeback a few years ago. And guess what? They're resetting. And as they reset, individuals cannot afford the new payment amount. Is that deja vu all over again or what? Okay. Buy down mortgages resetting. That's right. When people get these buy down mortgages as a way of being able to get into that property, lower monthly payments, they kind of forget that the payments are going to go up as well. And can they handle it when the time comes? And last but not least, there's folks that were able to get into a home thanks to the various down payment assistance programs that are offered by the state, county, and city, municipality level. Unfortunately, a lot of these people really should not have been in the home because now they're behind on their payments and they're being kicked out. And if you're the kind of person that says, I don't understand, I don't know, we're supposed to be in an equity-rich nation, how can this be happening? Then look at this meme and follow along with me. Having equity and being able to make your monthly mortgage payments are 2 separate issues. How many of you would say amen, put a thumbs up and everything else? It doesn't matter how much money you're sitting on. If you live paycheck to paycheck and you get fired, you can't tap the equity in your home. No one's going to finance you. It doesn't do you any good. And that's one of the biggest challenges that we have right now. People don't have the savings to forget about 6 months. They don't have a month of backup. That's where our training, our commitment, our movement comes in. The CDPE is all about preparing you to go out there and help as many people avoid foreclosure as possible. I want this to go on the record because I'm asked this question all the time. Are you an NAR class or something like that? Absolutely not. We are a private designation, wholly owned by my wife and myself. Now, I don't know if ChatGPT gets it right every time, but when I asked what's the best short sale training that's out there, it came back with CDPE. And here's the thing, I'm up against others. I'm not going to name them and everything else. I'm not opposed to them being there. I tell agents, get as much training as you can. But I've had people say, how do you compare? You know what? I am going to name it. People will say, how do you compare to SFR, which is the NAR program? I go, don't listen to me. I'm biased. Listen to those that have taken both SFR and CDPE and let them tell you if there's a difference. Is there a difference? Without a doubt. And I have those testimonials. I have all those for anybody that wants it. Nothing compares to the CDP. And people will say, well, why is that? I think it's 2 reasons. Number one is the content, right? But I think it's the delivery of the content. Is there anything that I've said today or demonstrated that can make you think that I am not passionate about this topic? That I don't believe in what I'm teaching? And I think ultimately it comes down to the leadership, right? I'm in this to win it. I'm there to help you, to help them. And I don't think anybody can come close. What's our mission? Okay, what we do, and I know it's counterintuitive, it may not even make sense at first, but our job is to do everything we can to help them stay in the property. You know what you make on that? Absolutely nothing. You know what you gain? Everything from that. Sadly, most people wait too long, or maybe we waited too long to approach them. By the time we're in a conversation with them, it's not even remotely an option. What's left? These 3 words, write these down. Ready? Exit with dignity. There's no dignity in being shown to the curb by the sheriff. I just saw this on Facebook today. Props to Sally Hansen. The timing could not be better. Sometimes the greatest transactions are those with no commission. Saved from foreclosure. You are welcome, Diane. Glad to help. So you help someone to stay in their home. I put, you're doing God's work. Bless you. That's what we're all about. Now, let me give you some stuff from the course. This is my gift to you. And if I pique your interest enough, you're going to want to take the entire course when it's all said and done. One of our chapters, one of our modules is you have to understand what foreclosure is and what it's not. Because if you're not up to speed on this, how can you help somebody? You won't be able to answer their questions. You won't even be able to know what stage of the process they're in. So get ready to write this down. Ready? Number 1, foreclosure is in fact a process. It's not a single event. Even in the fastest of states, it can take a few months. Here's what I want you to write down, memorize. Short sales are done the same all over the country. There is not a unique way to do short sale in any given state. What varies from state to state is the individual foreclosure process or laws in those states. It is the responsibility of anybody engaging in this arena to become well-versed with how the foreclosure process happens in your state. Some states are judicial, like Florida, New York. Some are non-judicial, and some are both. And oftentimes, they're going to take the path of least resistance. The lenders are going to take the path that enables them to get from filing to taking over the house as quickly as possible. But this is critical information for you to research. Remember what I mentioned earlier? Foreclosures can also be as a result of property taxes going unpaid and HOA condo payments being. Now, this is not the majority. Mortgage default has got to be like 99.9% of it. But there are folks right now that are losing their properties or going into foreclosure because they're behind on their association dues, believe it or not. What is the timeline? This is important. 2008, 2009, it was a wild, wild west. Then Congress stepped in, they passed a law, and now the servicers are required by law to sit on their hands until those homeowners are at least 120 days in default before they can initiate foreclosure action on their part. So that's good and bad. They have 4 months before the bank even gets around to doing anything, even if they do that. Here's the bad part. They don't use those 4 months wisely. And they're squandered. Many times, by the time we reach them, they not only have been served, they not only have been provided with the formal process, many of them are at the point where they're days, if not weeks away from losing the home in a foreclosure auction or sale. We need to be more assertive in reaching out to these folks so that we can list that property and have as much time or more time to get it sold as a regular sale or as a short sale. But just be prepared. A lot of folks are going to wait till the last minute. Why? Free rent, people. They're living there. They're not paying a mortgage. They haven't paid a mortgage maybe in a year, right? That's why if you approach them too soon, they won't even listen. They'll go like, wait a minute, if I got to leave, then I have to start paying rent, right? Yeah, that's kind of how that works. Does your state have a redemption period? I don't know. Some states do, some states don't. Some have a modified one. Florida doesn't. Florida has kind of like a 10-day little window. Some states like Michigan and Minnesota can have months where someone can still live in that property after the sale date has happened. So that's another thing for you to go ahead, and all this information is at your disposal. You just have to Google it, AI it, you get it. Now, next, I need you to really pay attention to this part, because when you're talking to someone, you're kind of presenting the carrot or the stick. It's one of the two approaches. You got to go in there and say, let me give you some reasons why you need to avoid foreclosure. And some of them are because of your benefit, other because it's like you really don't want this to happen to you. So write these down. Number one, this is something that's going to impact them basically for the rest of their lives, because their credit is going to be destroyed. Now, I'm not saying that if you help them avoid foreclosure because you did a sale or you did a short sale, that their credit's not going to be impacted. Of course they are. They were 6 months behind or 8 months behind. That's going to show up. But they can recover from that very, very quickly. Here's the problem. If it goes all the way to foreclosure, it can stay on their credit report for up to 7 years. If they have a bankruptcy, it's up to 10 years. Now, they want to buy again in the future, as I'm sure most want to buy again in the future. Guess what? They may not be able to qualify for a regular mortgage for 5 to 7 years, but they may be able to get an FHA mortgage or another mortgage in less than 2 or 3 years if they have a short sale. Huge difference, okay? Now, forever and a day, they will have to disclose if they've ever had a foreclosure or deed in lieu on their record. So when they go to apply again, that's one of the questions that's asked. So when you're looking at this, this is very much the stick, right? You don't want these things to happen. So I'm going to give you a little gift right now, right? You're talking to someone. This is all about dialogue. Hey, Mr. Smith, so listen, I know you're upset right now. I know you're saying you just want the bank to take the house, but have you given any thought to the fact that your credit is going to be messed up because it's going to be on your record for 7 years? He comes back at me and says, I could care less, man. I'll pay everything cash going forward. All right, so what do you think I do in that situation? I go, well, that's not going to work. So then I take a different approach. I say, but let me ask you this. You think you ever want to be a homeowner again in the future? And what do you think they're going to say? They're going to say, yeah, well, yeah. I go, I thought you'd answer that way. So let me ask you this. What would you prefer? To be prevented from being able to qualify for a mortgage for 5 to 7 years, or be able to maybe qualify for another mortgage in as little as 2 to 3 years? Which would you prefer? What do you think they're going to say? Well, yeah, man, of course, I would like to be able to do it sooner than later. Exactly. That's why you need to pay attention. You need to let me help you. These are the things I talk about in my class, because it's not just words on paper. I teach you what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. Then it's up to you to say it to as many people as possible. Next, do you know that they could not get employed because of having a foreclosure on their record? You know that they could lose the job they have because they have a foreclosure? Do you know that if they have a security clearance, it's almost assured that it's going to be gone because they have a foreclosure or bankruptcy on their record? Don't you think that's something that they need to know before they just allow the bank to take the house? I think so. Well, now you know this. You're able to present it in such a way as say, hold on a second. What do you do for a living? Oh, yeah? Doesn't that involve a security clearance? Uh-huh. Well, then pay attention, because you may lose it. What? Now you have their attention. What is a deficiency judgment? Well, the vast majority of states out there, they allow the bank or banks to come after that homeowner, that borrower, after they've lost the home for any amount that they didn't recover. So obviously, if you help someone avoid foreclosure that had equity, it's a non-issue. The bank got all their money. It's a non-issue. I'm talking about for the ever-increasing number of short sales that are out there, that if the property goes to foreclosure and the bank loses $100,000, your state may allow them to pursue those homeowners for those losses. Here's what's different when we help them with a short sale. 99% of the time, thereabouts, in a short sale, we're successful at getting the bank to waive the right to come after them. That's huge. That is huge. All right, folks, I'm going to get to all your questions at the end. I find it's better that way. I'm going to leave plenty of time for you. I'll take a look at what's in the chat area and everything else. But I wanted to also share a couple more things. So you're saying, okay, so what can they do, man? If they can't stay in the property, and I have a whole section on that, what can they do? Well, think about it. If they have equity, just sell it, man. Just make sure that you do a title search and lien search to make sure you have accounted for all of the liens against that property. But write this down. You know what I call this? I call it a regular sale with urgency. Even though you have equity, you still got to keep an eye on the calendar, because you have to make sure that all this gets concluded before the sale date comes and goes. All right, so that's option number one. Short sale. You don't even discuss short sale unless they're underwater. You always start by asking, how many mortgages do you have? And then whatever they say, you verify. Trust, but verify. But the short sale conversation only enters the equation when you know for a fact that they owe more than what you can sell it for. At that point, we need to list it as a short sale, get a contract, and then the fun part begins. The negotiations happen with the bank. And I no longer teach that agents should do the negotiations. It should be done by professionals. All that's covered thoroughly in the class. In fact, you have to go to our YouTube channel, because just last week, I had an amazing webinar where I interviewed 3 professional short sale negotiators. That was unbelievable. So if you want to understand what it is that they do and how they earn their money and how they get paid, you need to catch that. And by the way, if you're on our YouTube channel, please subscribe. Now, let's say the bank approves it. Yay! Then the bank allows for the title to be transferred over to the new buyers. But it's not meant to be a get out of my mortgage free card. It's for those that qualify. So what are the qualifications? See, I'm giving away a lot of stuff here. I mean, I gotta knock this off. Short sales are not for everyone. So there's 3 primary qualifications. Write these down. That the bank requires. The bank requires that there be proof of hardship. That means some kind of material change has taken place from the time they bought the house when they could afford it to now when they can't. They need to prove the algo. ¿Qué pasó? I call it that. What happened? The ¿qué pasó question. What happened? And it's usually one of these common ones right here. Or, 1 or 2 or 3 of these. So you want to make sure that there is, in fact, a legitimate hardship and is verifiable and documentable. Okay? Next, they have to, okay? So let's back up a second. When I sit down with someone and say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I need to find out if you are an ideal candidate. Write that down. Ideal candidate for a short sale. Now, not based on my criteria, but the banks. They have 3 areas. We talked about hardship. The next one is monthly income shortfall. In other words, do you have more month at the end of the money? Think about that for a second. What if your money all runs out on the 20th, but there's 31 days in the month? If someone can afford to make all of their payments, including their mortgages, why would you even be asking the bank to lose money? So we need a seller that's cooperative and willing to disclose all of this. Last but not least, are you insolvent, which is just a fancy word for broke? Okay? Someone that's sitting on a pile of money in a savings account might have a difficult time getting the bank to lose money. Now, that's different from an IRA or 401k. The banks cannot seize that money, but the banks can certainly factor it into their decision making. So in other words, every case is different. We just can't go in thinking it's all the same. We have to interview them, we have to get the information, and then we have to prepare them for what the bank may or may not ask for, such as a contribution. Okay? All right. Now we're going to get to the fun part. I want to just spend maybe 5 minutes giving you some ideas, another freebie on how you can go ahead and build this up. Okay? First of all, people ask me all the time, Tony, where do I get this list? It's public record, folks. It's public record. Now, me personally, I don't want to work that hard. I would prefer that you signed up with, say, RedX. I was interviewed. I did a podcast last week with RedX. I loved it. I used them. They're awesome. They give me the list, and I scrubbed against the do not call list, and I got emails and all that. That's another thing you need to go check out on our YouTube channel. Take a look at that. But when I coach people through this process, I say start working with the people that have a sale date first. Okay? And again, you can pull up this data a number of different ways, but it's easier to subscribe to one of the services like a RedX so that it can be there at your disposal and you're not doing all this heavy lifting, trying to get phone numbers, trying to find out if they're on the do not call list and all that nonsense. Okay? So it's there. Here's another area of opportunity. Where you live, are there a lot of short-term rentals? Because if they are, they're in for a hard time, folks. Many, many months ago, maybe years now, more and more cities, counties, and states have said no bueno when it comes to these properties. I mean, my wife and I, we have a property in Lake Placid, Florida. When we bought it a few years ago, there was only a handful of people that were doing short-term rentals. Now it seems like everybody's doing them. And if you've been following, more and more people are getting upset at the short-term rentals because some of these owners, these hosts, they demand so much from these people that people are like, you know what? I'm just going to go back to a hotel. In a hotel, I didn't have to clean up after myself. I just left, you know? So for the fact that the economy, there's a saturation of these properties. You have more and more obstacles, associations saying you can't do it. New York said, forget about Airbnbs. More and more of these people are going to have to sell. And some of these folks bought multiple properties and they got these DSCR loans, which is basically subprime loans for investors. And the payments were based on the income that was supposed to be produced from the rentals. What's happening if the income is not there? So here's an idea. Get a list of for rent by owners. For rent by owners. You can get that also from RedX. And approach these landlords to see how many of them are fed up and says, that's it, I'm done. Here's another idea. I like the one-to-many approach. I could be having this conversation one-on-one with you guys. But at the very top, we had 66. Can someone explain to me why we could have almost 200 people that are registered for the call and 66 get on it? You know, what if I decided not to send out the recording? I'll think about that for a second. But here's where I'm going with this. I'm doing the one-to-many approach. I'm working just as hard talking to 66 or 61 of you as I would be if I was talking to one of you. So why not do more of that? So put on your own foreclosure prevention webinars. And some of you speak multiple languages, so you have the advantages of doing it. So here's my idea, okay? I think you should do them virtually. Yeah, I mean, there was a time where people were willing to come to an office and sit there and air out all their problems. I think most people are past that. I would do it by webinar or Zoom. And here's why. I can target a much bigger audience because you can target everyone in your state because you're licensed for your entire state, okay? You can't do it about selling their home. It really has to be about helping them. You have to be able to answer the questions. You have to be able to give them options. I would not do it alone if you're doing it for the first time or maybe the first few times. I would probably ask for maybe a real estate attorney or foreclosure defense attorney to be on the call with you. They're looking to get more business. But this way, they can do the heavy lifting when it comes to answering like the legal questions about the process and everything else. And does it work? You know what? Yeah, it can. Daniel's done amazing in Hawaii. Hawaii is not even in the top 30 of states, and yet he's done very well by posting his. And you see, this is his flyer that he uses. You know, stop foreclosure, learn your options to avoid foreclosure. He's had success. In fact, he posted about a recent success story. And then one of the other CDPs said, hey, man, I'd love to find out more about your presentation. His response was, just use Tony's. Just use Tony's. Yeah, I got a surprise for you, or a gift, another gift. When I do these, because I do these for my team, one of the times that I did it, I decided to record it. And then I decided to share the recording in the CDP resources area, you know, where our members can go. And I said, CDPEs, if you've always wanted to do this and you didn't know how, here's the sample flyer for you guys to borrow, rip off, whatever. Here is me teaching it. And then I went a step further. I even share my PowerPoint presentation with my CDPEs. If someone's committed to doing this, you take the PowerPoint, you make the changes necessary to personalize it to your state, to you, and then you practice, practice, practice. And then you do it. So that is something CDPs get. Nobody else gets that. That's a member benefit. If I've given you some reasons to want to grow your business and help distressed homeowners, then the next step is to get the right training, and I got you. I want you guys to become super CDPEs like Monica out of Texas right there. I love it. She did this. I went, this is fantastic. I love it. People say, what is your superpower? My superpower is I help people avoid foreclosure. So this can be you. So how do you do this? Well, a little bit about the course, okay? I think I've already given you a little bit of an idea how I teach. So no one else is teaching it at this point in time. It's just me. But we cover a lot. We cover a lot. And probably I think the most important thing that I cover is the listing presentation. You have to do a completely different listing presentation when someone's losing a home versus a traditional one. And I walk you through my listing presentation step by step. So all this is covered in the course. Now, after the class, there are benefits because when you take the class, you become a member of the CDP movement for an entire year. All right. And then it's only $99 a year to renew, which is a ridiculous amount. It's been $99 since the beginning of time. And I have not been motivated to raise the price at all for my CDPs because it ain't easy out there. But what are some of the benefits? Yeah, of course, you get a certificate. More and more people need to do something when you graduate. Don't keep it a secret, for crying out loud. I even have a graduation kit that you can purchase for a song that helps you we already created the marketing, but stop being a secret agent, secret CDPE. You get access to our portal. What do you get in the portal? You get access to all of the forms. My goodness, there's so many forms that we provide to protect you, your customer, and your broker or team leader. You know, like the videos that we do only for CDPE scripts. You want that stop foreclosure webinar. It's all in here. So this is 24/7. One of the biggest challenges we have with the CDPEs is getting our CDPs to use the stuff that we have. You may be a CDP and say, man, I don't even know the last time I was even in there. Well, let's fix that. Let's change that. Those resources are there for you. We have our own private members only Facebook group. I can't believe how much wonderful information is shared there. People will have questions and other CDPEs. In fact, the 3 negotiators that I had on that call, they're CDPEs and they're in that group. And oftentimes they'll answer questions for people out of the goodness of their hearts. We have a map area where it's for CDP to find other CDPs. This is not for consumers to find you. It's for a CDP that says, you know what? I have a referral to Texas. Who can I have in Texas? So if you're a CDP and you've never, ever submitted the information for you to be on this, because there is a step you have to do. You have to fill out the little form, takes you like a minute. Then make sure that you write to support@cdpe.com, support@cdpe.com. If you're not on there, so we can get you on there. I teach the class one of three ways. I do not currently have any live in-person classes. You could change that. I'm trying to work something out with my friends in Las Vegas. Maybe we can get me out there. Maybe we won't. But I love teaching it live and in person because, let's face it, you're going to learn in a different environment. I get to answer questions and everything for you. If you're a heavy hitter, if you're connected to your board, if you're a team leader, if you're a broker owner, or you have influence with any of these, let's have a conversation on what it would take to bring me out and teach the class live and in person. In the meantime, I have it available 24/7 online. You can get started right now. You don't have to wait. You can knock it out in like 6.5 hours, you're done. Okay? So we have the online on demand, which, let's face it, some of you are night owls like me. You would knock out the course in the middle of the night. That's an option for you. The one that I really, really enjoy doing the most, though, is the ones I do via Zoom, because I can reach a broader audience and it's taught live. I'm teaching it live, so you can ask me questions. The next one I have coming up is March 3rd and 4th. And what I do is I split it up over 2 days because it's too much content for one day. It would just, your brain would freeze. So I break it up over 2 days. So the next one is coming up on 3rd and 4th. Now, normally you pay $4.99 for this. It includes the course, all of the membership benefits for 1 year. And then if you're happy with us, if you've done anything, chances are you're going to renew, because it's what, 27 cents a day to stay at CDP going forward. But I want to reward you for putting up with me. So you all that are not CDPEs right now, you're not CDPEs right now, you want to be, you can take the online course for $3.99, or you can take the virtual one for $3.99. You just have to go to our website, cdpdesignation.com. Make sure that in the cart, you put the code Zoom100, no spaces, Zoom100, and then you click on the little check mark to activate it. Now, there may be some of you on the call that were CDPs back in the day. You're my OGs. And maybe you've been in a cave for the last 5 years. You didn't know I bought it and brought it back. Well, you can come back. Write to us at support@cdpe.com. We'll give you a special price to go ahead and come back. If you're a CDP right now and you're like, man, I need to take this class again. It's been 4 years, whatever. Well, you can take it for $149. Write to us at support@cdpe.com, and we'll give you a chance to go ahead and take the class for only $149. But your CDPE membership must be active. Okay, you must be current. So that's the first thing that has to come up. Now, here's what I want to throw at you. How about if I give you a 2-for-1? What does that mean? Well, I'm feeling kind of generous right now. And I feel like if I can double up on the training, you're more likely to do it. That means you stay a CDP longer. So if you sign up for the online course, so you're not waiting until March, doesn't matter. You sign up for the online, I'm going to give you the virtual one free. 2-for-1. Get a double dose. That's my way of thanking you for being on this call. Okay? So you sign up for the online on demand. You either start it or you don't, but it's there. And then come the March, we go ahead and we do that. And those are recorded too. So for folks say, maybe I can't make both, that's what we're recorded. Okay? Now, people have asked me in the past, Tony, you know, times are a little rough right now. Is there any way I can make payments on that? I tried, and then I became a debt collector, and I don't like it. So I like that I partner with Klarna. When you get to our checkout, the cart, one of the options is to sign up with Klarna, and they make it very, very easy for you to go ahead and do it in payments. So if that's something that's going to help you, by all means, explore the Klarna option. So how many of you are ready to be a short sales bad? Okay, if you are, now is the time. And keep in mind, it's not just short sales. I'm teaching you how to approach all of these people that may have equity. But at the end of the day, you have to be prepared on the short sale side because more are coming. All right? This is a big announcement. I have been asked for the past 5 years, Tony, can I hire you as a coach? Tony, when are you going to do coaching? And I go, man, I don't know if I want to commit the time. So what I'm going to do on March 19th, all right, you're going to have an opportunity to be on this free Zoom while I explain how my coaching program is going to work. Because it's not going to be it's going to be a hybrid coaching program. And I only want 10 people. I only want, if there's 10 people among our 11 or 12 or 1,300 CDPs out there that are willing to invest in it, then I'll do it. And if it's not, I won't. But I felt it was time for me to make myself available. I want to do it for 6 months for a limited number of people. And then either they're in or they're not. But I am launching this on this date. If you want to get all the details and you want to be among those 10 to do it, then by all means, it will see you on that call. I do want to throw another special your way. I'm a big believer that working with the military, having a heart to serve those that have served us. If you're already at CDPE, God bless you, but maybe you want to become a MilRes, or maybe you have no interest in the CDPE side, but you might be interested in working with active military or veterans. So take my residential specialist, military residential specialist certification class. Here's how I make it available. I make it available. I don't have any live ones right now. More, we can do that too. Same thing. If you know someone that can bring me out to do the military class, let's have a conversation. But you can do it online right now for $325, or you can do it via Zoom for the same price, and that's coming up March 24th and 25th. Those are the dates. Those are coming up. I know I'm moving quickly through this, so you can always watch this again. I'm going to send the recordings out to you guys later on tonight, so don't worry about that. And if you just need to ask questions, write to us at support@CDP, and Jeanette will get to you. But I think that this is a perfect complement to the CDP. The two go hand in hand. So, of course, I have special pricing for you. Ready? If you're not a CDP right now and you want to take the MilRes, it's $225. So let's say you have zero interest in pre-foreclosure, but you want to be a military specialist. Fantastic. You can save $100. Here's what I really like to see happen. I like to see as many CDPs as possible also become a MilRes. And you guys get an incredible deal. You guys get it for $149. It just makes sense to take the CDP to get the savings so that you're getting the other one for significantly less. Now, there's two different coupon codes there. I know it can get a little confusing, so I want to make sure that you are doing it. And guess what? I'm going to do the 2-for-1 offer as well. That's right. If you sign up for the online on demand at whichever one of these two prices you qualify for, you can get the online course started immediately, and I will throw in the March virtual one as well. All right, so now that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Let me unshare, and let me take a look at some of the questions here, or if somebody wants to unmute themselves and ask a question. I know there was probably a lot of questions that were asked along the line that Jeanette probably answered. Okay. Anybody got a question, a comment, concern, anything?
Hi, Tony. Fred speaking from New York. How you doing?
How are you, brother? Good to see you or hear you.
Good, good. I just wanted to make a quick point in reference to foreclosure activity in New York State. So, post 2023, after Governor Hochul signed the Foreclosure Abuse Prevention Act, it's no longer a long time that they take to foreclose. So I've seen cases in New York City where they foreclosed literally from list pending sums and complaint to a sale date within a year. So let the old practices not be a
Oh, wow, that's good to know.
And the reason, additionally, as well, too, that Foreclosure Abuse Prevention Act, it reignited, if I say that way, the statute of limitations with respect to foreclosure sales in New York. So what would happen is the lenders start the foreclosure, then they take a hiatus for a little while, and they came back, and they enforced it now that, hey, listen, it's a 6-year. If you don't get it done in a 6-year, maybe an issue. So, and also we recall, obviously, COVID when the sharks were waiting to feed as a frenzy, and the cages were shut. Now the cages are open, so the sharks are at bay. So this is what's going on in New York. Thank you, Tony.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. Hey, look, guys, if you're not in New York area and you need someone to help on a short sale, Fred's the man. In fact, if there's going to be any other CDP instructor in the future, it's probably going to be Fred. So he knows his stuff. He's one of those veterans that absolutely positively walks the talk. What does GSE? Those are the God, what do they call those again? I'm having one of those senior moments. Help me out, Fred. The GSE is what now?
Government-sponsored enterprise.
Government-sponsored entities, enterprises. Thank you. See why I need Fred? So what is a government-sponsored entity? That is Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. Okay. Freddie, and most of those loans are bought by either Fannie or Freddie. Okay. All right. Jeanette answered it as well. My gosh, she's amazing there. A year ago, I could have sold my clients. This guy, one of my clients. Yep. Prices are not trending upward. I don't know if you noticed that, and Gabi, I think this is my wife, Gabi, probably. She says, I could have sold one of my clients' condos for about $295. Now it's about $250. Well, you know that we have the most condos of any state in the nation, and we are having a difficult time with condos. That is a market that's crashing left and right. They're not fun. Okay. All right. So we got here. Anybody else have any comments, questions? Now, the slides, no, we don't provide the slides. I'm going to provide you with the recording so you'll see how I shared the slides, but the slides themselves, we cannot do that because that is just a ticket for many other instructors to start doing their thing. Not that you would do it, Denise, not at all, but there are players out there that would do that. Okay, let me see. Okay, Monica's on the call. She saw her superhero outfit. I love it. Okay, so let me see. Great soon. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? It seems like we've got all this pretty much covered. All right. Are we good, folks?
One last thing, Tony. One last thing before you go. You spoke about the foreclosures. What can kind of urge them on? I think you kind of touched on it, but I don't think I heard it properly. So I think let's share it with the forum here. October 2025. October 1st, 2025, when HUD passed that new regulation pertaining to FHA mortgages. And now you've mentioned something, how this gentleman with a VA loan had did like 14 modifications. Those days, at least for now, are over, right? So maybe you want to just touch about that, Tony?
Actually, I did, brother. I mentioned that as of October 1st of last year, the government program that was doing all these crazy modifications for FHA, but I appreciate you bringing it up again because I think it's important to talk about again. It was being abused, folks. And basically, this is a situation people were going in and getting multiple partial claim mortgages. You got to watch out for those partial claim mortgages. They're a new loan that's there, right? And people forget about these partial claim mortgages. And then they go make the sale, try to make a sale. And next thing you know, boom, there's a mortgage there that needs to be taken care of. But as of October 1st, these individuals only get one shot at it. And even then, they have to make their payments for a minimum amount of time. But the days are gone where you can get into this modification program, wait a little bit, apply, and they'll give it to you again. That's gone. On the VA side, there was a program called VASP. And what the VA was doing, believe it or not, the VA was actually becoming the bank. The VA was buying up these bad loans so that they could modify it on behalf of these homeowners. That stopped. They can try to get a modification, but look, you know what I've always said about a modification or a mod, an MOD? You got to have a JOB in order to get an MOD, right? So a lot of these folks just won't qualify for the modification period. So all these games that were being played to artificially keep people in their homes longer, they're done. So we are going to see a huge influx, huge, on the FHA and VA side. So keep that in mind. The opportunities are there. It is up to you. It is up to you. Get the right training and then do something with it. Do something with it, right? Can you buy the membership only? Well, to be a member, you can buy the membership only if you're on our record books as being a CDP from back in the day. In other words, if you were a CDP in 2008, 9, and 10, you could come back and we let you come back for $149, and then it's $99 a year afterward. If you've never taken the course, you just can't buy the membership. You get the course, and the membership comes with it. All right, but you can actually absolutely sign up for the class now. All right, so I'm over by 4 minutes. I've enjoyed this. I hope you have as well. I am going to send out the recordings to you all later on this evening. Don't keep it a secret. Share it. Share it with anybody that's interested. Share it with those association people and your team leaders and your brokers and everything else. Get them to wake up, get their heads out of the sand, and start helping some people. God bless you all, folks. Stay safe, and we're here to help you always. All right? Take care, everyone. Bye-bye now.
Tony, thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Fred. God bless you guys. Take care.